Welcome back to Hidden Narratives. Tonight is a special occasion. Thomas and I have been preparing for this moment for our entire lives. In middle school, we began memorizing the script to this movie and practicing it in public, much to our own detriment, whether we realized that or not at the time. But at any rate, when we decided to talk about Monty Python and everybody else on the podcast dropped out for other engagements, we thought, well, this is actually perfect. We've been wanting to do this as long as we can remember. And we'll try not to do a shot-for-shot remake of Monty Python and the Holy Grail tonight, but we're not promising anything. Written in 1975, directed by Terry Gilliam and Terry Jones, it was written by Monty Python Troupe, which included Graham Chapman, John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, Eric Idle, Terry Jones, and Michael Palin. This movie starred those people as they wrote their own script. The movie set in 932 AD, after the death of Christ, as we know it, Anno Domini, or something like that. I don't remember. Do you remember, Thomas?
It was also 93 squared AD.
Oh, you're right. It was. Well, yeah. Was that just a format of the text they used, or was it intentionally just like nonsense?
Did not do any research. Don't care. I always read it 93
squared. All right. That's, you're right, because that's how it appears on the screen. That's pretty funny. So we'll just start at the beginning. It cuts to you hear the clopping of hooves in a very, dark, Moorish, misty English landscape. And you hear the hooves, and then you see the head of a man wearing a crown, so you automatically know you're dealing with a king, and then his minstrel who's right behind him. But you quickly realize that what you're not hearing is horse beats, or the hoof beats of a horse, but instead two empty heads of coconuts being banged together. And that is not explained in any way. Yeah.
And immediately the movie is off to absolute lunacy.
Yeah, you're laughing 30 seconds. Well, we haven't even talked about the opening credits because it's not something you normally do for a movie.
I don't know how we could have done it justice. I mean, we'd have to read.
You got to watch the opening credits, and you have to read them. You can't just sit there and take it in passively. It is an active engagement.
We originally did it, but then we had to sack the people who originally gave us the job to read the credits, and unfortunately,
yes, it was
the people who sacked us. They were also sacked.
And there was much rejoicing.
But
yeah, so you have these two men clopping along in the English countryside, seeming to pretend to ride a horse, and they come up upon a castle, and as you said, King Arthur goes, "Whoa, whoa!" and the horse and the coconuts are correctly clopped to a stop.
I want to make sure that it is clear, though. All right, as Graham Chapman, and behind him, his compatriot Patsy, played by none other than Mr. Terry Gilliam, the director of this film. And we're going to get into a whole lot of that, I'm sure.
Oh, man.
Never once, as they... And we got a whole rest of the movie. I want to make sure that we're clear. Never once do they, even for a moment, outside of the following scene, address the horse situation. And it's never even for a second not something that they are riding horses.
Oh, no. Every single one of them is 100% committed to the bit, whether they realize it's a bit or not.
Because, it calls so much attention to the lunacy immediately.
It does.
Immediately.
And it also kind of, it hints at, it doesn't even let you know what it's hinting at in any way, but it hints at the fact that there's modernity blending into the story. So you think it's 93 squared AD. But, we're going to find out otherwise soon. But it does, you're right. Because they're like, what the fuck are you doing? You've got two empty heads of coconuts and you're banging them together. And they're just like, so?
Well, where'd you get the coconuts?
Oh, coconuts tropical, Massacre temperate.
Well, does the swallow not fly south with the sun? Will the house martin or clover not seek warmer climes in winter? Yet these are not strangers to our land.
Are you suggesting coconuts migrate?
Not at all. They could be carried.
What, grab it by the husk?
No, listen, it's not a question of where he grips it. It's a simple question of weight ratio. A 5-ounce bird cannot carry a 1-pound coconut. Well, it could have been carried by an African swallow.
Oh, yeah, an African swallow maybe, but not a European swallow. That's my point.
Oh, well, yeah. Perhaps if two swallows carried it together.
Yeah, and this conversation happens in the back with the backdrop of Arthur trying to explain to them that he is on a quest for the Holy Grail, or no, he's actually just looking for knights for the Round Table at this point to join him at Camelot.
Yeah,
and they're just completely. They're like, no, let's talk about the swallow.
All right, we did a terrible job of setting every bit of this scene. We talked about how they were all with coconuts hopping up there, and then we just went straight into it. And that's the one thing we said at the beginning of this that we were not going to do.
You're right. We'll revisit this. Let's start back. They've clopped to a stop, and they look up, and the guards on a tower, at least one guard, I think both are visible at this point. They yell down, "Halt! Who goes there?"
All right, so let me just real fast. So we've got a halt. Who goes there? With the exception of the fact that they are in fact clopping up on a non-existent horse, and Patsy does kind of look funny. He's a funny looking dude. It's still kind of a serious moment. Like, you're like, all right, who goes there? And so you're like, I am Arthur, King of the Britons. Still kind of normal. Horse
Son of Uther Pendragon. Right. Everything's tracking with your knowledge of Arthurian legend.
We're doing good. We're going.
Other than the fact he's pretending to ride a horse, this seems to be Arthur of legend.
All right, if we skip past that, it's Arthur of legend. There's no reason why we can't skip past it. Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, so that's set, and now we're like, okay, so what is he after? He starts explaining.
We have ridden far and long, seeking knights.
We've ridden the length and the breadth of the land, seeking knights to join us at my court at Camelot.
What? Ridden on a horse?
Yes.
You've got coconuts.
What?
You've got two empty halves of coconuts, and you're banging them together.
So?
Where'd you get the coconuts?
We found them.
Found them? In Mercia? Well, the coconut's tropical. We've now skipped past that, and we've moved back into the very, very clear path of this movie, which is anything that's nuts and crazy and insane. That's what we're going to have to call attention to, because it's the most important part, because that's all this movie is.
Right. And apart from the fact that the conversation itself is absurd.
Yeah.
And they're completely ignoring what he's talking about.
It's also, you would want to know, you know? I mean,
it's an interesting conversation that we would have for sure. These two guys have undiagnosed ADHD without question. And so,
also, this dude clopping about on a not horse with a guy behind him.
I mean, that's absurd. You would call that out no matter how well trained you were as a guard or not. But the irony of the fact that two men who are being paid to guard the walls of a castle in the middle of nowhere in medieval England is enough evidence to know that these guys didn't have a whole lot of wattage going on in the old brain cells. So their knowledge of the airspeed velocity of anything that wasn't being thrown at them directly is going to be pretty limited. So that conversation by itself is just ironic. And so that's funny.
They did focus so much so on the question at hand as to where the coconuts could have came
They
from.
were correct to maintain their focus on that absurdity. Yeah, no, you're right. Their focus on that was the correct one. These two freaks have walked up and they're banging coconuts together, and they seem to think we should just be like fine with that, and we're not moving on.
Can we not like also address like what is the educational structure of this particular caste system they got going on every year? Oh.
Yeah. This little serfdom is really kicking ass at its STEM projects.
Well, I mean, they're very clearly into some form of what is it? What's bird law?
They have a very deep understanding of bird law, which then was apparently more reasoned in its governance. But we digress.
It's not governed by reason, clearly. But
So he loses his patience with this particular encounter because they have trailed off into the various elements that might be required for a swallow to indeed deliver a coconut to Mercia, which, as they pointed out correctly, is a temperate zone, not likely to find coconuts that weren't imported. So, it's all brilliant. And
they aren't Britain.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It would be very troubling to come across coconuts. It'd be like, whoa, I found a humpback whale in the middle of the desert.
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the grocery stores, but in this particular era, they wouldn't have been.
That's true. They were very much on the, I don't even know if they were a seafaring people at this point. I mean, this is right after the Roman Empire had fallen.
Well, they did have the Viking or the dragon boat at the end, but we'll get to that. So they go from there to the plague scene directly after this encounter, and it cuts to I think is Eric Idle dragging the cart, and he's banging the drum, saying, "Bring out your dead." And
no, yes, sorry.
Yeah, and so that exchange happens. You have John Cleese come out with an old man over his shoulder, and he's like, "I've got one for you."
Yeah, mind you, let me set the scene here. So you have a situation where they're walking. So now we've changed from where it's King Arthur and Patsy. Now we're in a very clearly bubonic plague.
It's a village.
The entire village is nothing but, I don't know how they managed to do it. It's just clops and clops of mud. Like it's everyone is standing in roughly about 6 inches to maybe a foot of mud.
Yeah.
And so what Eric Idle's character is doing is he is, as any good purveyor of, I guess, capitalism would do. He's got a job, so he's clearing out the dead from those who have died of the plague and carting along a horse. He doesn't have a horse.
There are no horses in this movie as of now. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, at the end. But so he's got a guy who's pulling a cart. He's got a bunch of dead bodies. He's going, "Bring out your dead, bring out your dead." And then John Cleese shows up, and he's got a customer.
he's got his father presumably draped over his shoulder. He's barely even alive, just emaciated to the bone, but not seemingly ill in any way. And he says, "I've got one for you." And he goes, "I don't want to go on the cart."
Well, hey, he's not dead.
Yes, he is. He'll be stone dead in a moment.
Oh, yes, he is. No, I'm not. No, he says he isn't. Well, I mean, it's hard to argue.
Well, can't you come back around? No, Robinson's lost 9 today. They lost 9. Presumably the Robinsons are entirely on the cart at that point. And he's like, "Well, can't you do us a favor?"
And by the way, rewatching this movie, I realized that pretty much every single skit has a moment where someone is either supposed to be dead, could be dead, but always isn't dead.
Is or is not mortally wounded. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
and if they need to be dead, they are made dead quickly.
Yeah. I mean, like it's pretty amazing. By the way, when we get to Lancelot, that's
that scene.
Such a better scene than I even remember it being.
Yeah, no spoilers, I guess. But yeah, so he finally convinces him to clop his father on the head and throws him on the cart. And at that point, Arthur comes around the bend of the lane, and he's still with Patsy. And the two gentlemen, after the exchange of commerce, are then exchanging pleasantries. And he goes, "Who's that?"
And
he says,
some might call it a murder in the street.
Well, definitely a murder in the streets. Some patricide, I guess, is what you call that. I don't know. But yeah, he goes, "Who's that?" He goes, "Must be King."
Eventually.
Yeah, that's right. "Who's that?" "Must be King." "What makes you say that?" "Has got shit all over him."
And the commentary, but also real fast too, on this scene, it is kind of setting the stage where it probably was like, it could have been 9:30. Well, it could have been 9:30. I don't know. The plague was every time, like all the time back in the day. But it was setting that to where, like, it again kind of built the atmosphere of where we're going here. It is always going to be in that Arthurian legend. But what's so funny is Arthurian legend very rarely deals with plague, and they make sure to introduce that like immediately. Like, this is Arthurian legend, but not the kind you would normally think of, because it's Monty Python, and it's absurd. And we're going to make an absurdity out of what could only be described, and what was described, and it is described as a disease that almost basically killed out humans several times.
Oh yeah, it's we brushed up against it a few times.
Yeah.
So he hasn't got shit all over him is the indication that he is royalty and must be a king. And that takes us directly to one of the best scenes in cinematic history, especially as far as comedic writing goes. And Arthur and Patsy come across two peasants mucking about in the filth, which has to be manure that they're either collecting to clear off the property or gathered for fertilization of crops or who knows what. But before we get into it, Thomas, we're gonna have to sign some roles so we don't talk over each other. And we do have a script for this. Mm-hmm. I will be Arthur and the woman, and you will be Dennis.
I love it.
Are you ready?
As I can be.
All right, let me get to the script. So yeah, the Monty Python theme is playing, and they're clopping along on their horse merrily, and he comes across a man. Or, well, I should say, he comes across a figure carrying a cart behind him full of what appears to be manure. And Arthur says, "Old woman." Man, sorry. What knight lives in that castle over there?
I'm 37.
What?
I'm 37. I'm not old.
Well, I can't just call you man.
Well, you could have called me Dennis.
I didn't know you were called Dennis.
Well, you didn't bother to find out, now did you?
I am king of the Britons.
I didn't know we had a king. I thought we were an autonomous collective.
You're fooling yourself. We're living in a dictatorship, a self-perpetuating autocracy in which the working classes...
Oh, there you go, bringing class into it again.
Well, that's what it's all about. If people would only...
Please, please, good people, I am in haste. Who lives in that castle?
No one lives there.
Then who is your lord?
We don't have a lord.
I told you, we're an anarcho-syndicalist commune. We're taking in turns to act as a sort of executive of the week.
Yes.
But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special bi-weekly meeting.
Yes, I see.
By a simple majority in the case of purely internal affairs.
Be quiet.
What by a 2/3 majority in the case of more major...
Be quiet. I order you to be quiet.
Order, eh? Who does he think he is?
I am your king.
Well, I didn't vote for you.
You don't vote for kings.
Why'd you become king then?
The Lady of the Lake, her arm clad in the purest shimmering samite, held aloft Excalibur from the bosom of the water, signifying by divine providence that I, Arthur, was to carry Excalibur. That is why I am your king.
Listen, strange women lying in ponds distributing swords is no basis for a system of government. Supreme executive power derives from a mandate from the masses, not from some farcical aquatic ceremony.
Be quiet.
Well, you can't expect to wield supreme executive power just to have some watery tot through his sword at you.
Shut up.
I mean, if I went around saying I was emperor just because some moistened bint lobbed a scimitar at me, they'd put me away.
Shut up, will you? Shut up.
Oh, now we see the violence inherent in the system.
Shut up.
Oh, come and see the violence inherent in the system. Help, help, I'm being repressed.
Bloody peasant.
Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, eh? Oh, that's what I'm on about. Did you see him repressing me? You saw it, didn't you? Hey, he's repressing me.
Listen, if I went around saying I was emperor because some moistened bint had lobbed a scimitar at me, they'd put me away. I was just howling watching that scene again this time around, which was probably the 300,000th time I've watched this movie. And definitely that clip, whether or not the whole movie. But man, what an epic scene.
Full disclosure to the 9 people, probably me and you several times, and that's the 9 all total. But to the folks, here's a full disclosure. Me and Grant, back when the internet was new, just went ahead and printed out this scene when we were in like 6th or 7th grade.
We had the whole script with stage notes.
Yeah. Now, I don't know why we did that. I guess we were preparing for a future podcast.
Well,
but
we were both kind of...
We wrote it down. We watched a VHS and wrote it down.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we even did some recording before we found out about subliminal messaging, and then probably abandoned that project to do something like that for a little while before we then moved on to wandering the neighborhood with BB guns. So that scene happens, and I draw a blank. What happened after that scene? Because now I'm drawing a blank. Says be quiet.
Right, so they get done with that scene, and now we're getting to Bedivere, as I recall.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I do not do a Bedivere. Grant does a Bedivere. So any Bedivere will be Grant doing it. I want everyone to know that.
Fair enough. All right. So yeah, this scene is, it's one for the ages as well, simply because of the absurdity. I mean, I guess we won't have to preface every scene that way, but
shall I set the stage a bit?
Yeah, set the stage, and we'll go in from that.
So we've got Arthur and Patsy, of course, clopping into a new town now. This one's more clean looking, but there's a bit of a ruckus going on. What is happening is that there is a group of people who have caught themselves what they deem to be a witch, and are bringing it to what I guess you would describe to be the town elder, possibly the mayor. It's never really given. I don't know.
I guess he's like he clearly has some title there because everybody's gathered around him to get scientific advice on whether or not to burn a witch.
He is seen as wise.
Yeah.
Now,
that is his name, Sir Bedivere the Wise. So
is complete nonsense.
Oh, just
all of it is insane, and it's brilliant at the same time. So they bring this woman now in the crowd. You've got noticeable John Cleese, Michael Palin, and I believe
Eric Idle,
and Eric Idle in the back.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, Terry Jones is Bedivere. So here's the scene where Arthur and Patsy are coming into another town. This time, it's actually a much cleaner town, and they discover that there is a gang of people who have found themselves somebody who they are now claiming to be a witch and are bringing her to the town elder, knightship, whatever Bedivere is. It never really explains, but someone who they deem to be someone of wisdom. Which, by the way, again, to be clear, he is the least wise person on the planet, but probably would be looked at as pretty wise back in those days, which makes it all the more hilarious.
He may actually prove to be one of the dumber ones in the group.
Well, he does. But he's confident, and that's the most important.
Very much, yes.
All right, so, and we get to it, so we'll go ahead and start this a little bit here, and I'll peasant it up, and Grant, you bring it home on Bedivere and the woman.
Let's do it.
All right. A witch, we found a witch, burn her. We found a witch, may we burn her?
How do you know she's a witch?
She looks like one.
Bring her forward. I'm not a witch. But you were dressed like one. They dressed me up like this.
No, we didn't. No.
And this isn't my nose, it's a false one. Well,
we did do the nose.
The nose?
And the hat. But she's a witch. Burn her.
Did you dress her up like this?
No. Yes. Well, a bit. But she has got a wart.
What makes you think she's a witch?
Well, she turned me into a newt.
A newt?
But I got better. Burn her anyway! Burn her down!
There are ways of telling whether she is a witch.
Tell us!
Tell me, what do you do with witches?
Burn them all!
What do you burn apart from witches?
More witches! Wood!
So, why do witches burn?
What? Because they're made of wood.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
So, how do we tell if she is made of wood?
Build a brick out of her.
Ah, but can you not also make bridges out of stone?
Yeah.
Does wood sink in water?
No, it floats. Let's throw her into the pond.
What also floats in water?
Bread, apples, very, very small rocks, soda, grape gravy, cherries, mud.
A duck. Exactly. So logically...
Well, if she was the same as a duck, then she's made of wood.
And therefore...
A witch!
We shall use my largest scales. And yeah, and then he goes over. He sets the witch on one scale and the duck on the other scale, and then they knock the blocks out. And because of whatever construction they're made of, they basically weigh the same anyway, no matter what you put in, because they're probably like 4-ton log scales he's got built there.
The witch does confess it was a fair call.
Yeah, she does. She's like, it was a fair trial. It's probably as close to a fair trial as existed in those days.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't make her.
There was at least science applied. Whether or not it was valid science is a different question. But then that leads us to one of the more fascinating conversations as King Arthur then presents himself to Bedivere as King Arthur, who then bends the knee and is like, oh, I'm all in. Let me join your quest. And so they're talking, and he's like, and that, my liege, is how we knew the earth to be banana-shaped.
Hold on, you got to do it, man. You got to do the other one. You got to go, who are you who are so wise?
Yeah. Who are you who are so wise in the ways of science?
Yeah, and by the way, the science that he just gave was the duck thing. So, I mean, you know.
A duck. Yeah, well, okay. and many of the things that they listed also float. And now, let me ask you this. When they said cider, right before they said gravy, did you think they meant cider in a barrel and gravy in a boat, or did you think they meant loose cider floating on the tins?
Well, considering that previous to that they had also said very small rocks, I don't really know if they were thinking like
Churches.
flotation. Churches. Yeah, I mean,
Lead.
I think they were just, whatever. I love lamp.
Yeah. No, lead was offered
Really
as
green
one,
dish.
so they clearly weren't. Oh my god. No, but so like, there's not really an upshot. Or the upshot to that story is that nobody in that conversation has any idea what they're talking
But again, it establishes
Peasant
the
or liege.
wisdom of the dumbest but the most confident people.
Yep.
The king and the guy who everyone looks up to for wisdom because he says he's wise.
How do you know she's a witch?
She looks like one.
She looks like one.
Also, no rehearsal on that, people. That was pretty good.
That wasn't bad. No, we zipped right into it, which is part of, what we've been practicing for this entire time. But
Yeah,
like we said, we're trying to do every scene. There's the dialogue scenes do tend to dissipate as we get further in. It becomes a little bit more action based. But after that, so they meet Sir Bedivere. Who's next on the list? I think it's Sir Lancelot, maybe.
When does the Black Knight scene come?
Oh, that's probably but right before they meet Bedivere, isn't it?
It might have been.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I might have skipped that.
That's okay. So we'll backtrack to the Black Knight scene. Yeah. Now the Black Knight always triumphs. That one we don't have to do the line because there's a lot of action and music that makes it a lot more dramatic and hilarious. So us just quoting it, we'll do a few of the bits. But John Cleese's ability to personify a totally faceless character in a Black Knight outfit and just become, like you said, the dumbest guy in the battle and the most confident.
It's basically all that being human is.
That's a good point. Or American, especially, just stubbornly wrong, but refusing to alter course. And, I'm not casting shade on anybody in particular. We're all guilty of that. But
shade right now.
Sometimes we also reflect on that and make changes. Just a thought.
Sometimes we just reassess.
Yeah. So, the Black Knight always triumphs after being completely de-limbed by a pretty valiant effort by King Arthur. His swordsmanship is solid. But, this one thing the movie does do that I thought was interesting, because I had seen a random YouTube video about things movies always get wrong that would never happen in real life. And one of them was, if you're wearing a suit of armor and somebody stabs you with a sword, the sword is not going to go into the suit of armor. That was the entire point of the suit of armor. But movies always get run through, you're just done. And this movie,
it's always strange that the one thing that it should prevent was the one thing it definentely couldn't.
Right. It was just like completely pointless weighting down, basically. It's like, why, and there's well, never mind. So in this battle scene, they clock a few in the, when the first scene opens, you get the Black Knight fighting another knight, and he throws the sword directly into
Sir Gawain, the Green Knight.
Was that the Green Knight? Yeah. Just throws the sword directly into the slot where his helmet is open, and it's like, that's beautiful, because that's the only way you would have been able to kill him at a distance.
Unlikely, but it is kind of the way it should work.
A well-balanced sword, at least. He got it right in the slot. Then he comes over, he pulls it out with his foot, and the blood is so obviously fake. Like the celebration of their low budget is amazing in this movie, and what they were able to do on such a low budget was pretty awesome too. But so that scene happens. Then we do Sir Bedivere. He's in the mix. I feel like it's not particularly sequential as to how the rest of the knights are brought in, so we'll just kind of dip in and out of the ones that we love the most. Sir Galahad, the Pure, and the Castle Anthrax. We'll talk about it in length. Sir Robin, not quite so brave as Sir Lancelot. His minstrel is actively dunking on him throughout the entire movie, and he just kind of tolerates it as he pledges along on his horse. He's just like, that's not true. I'm not that big of a coward.
Oh no! Who bravely
bold Sir Robin, he kindly turned and fled. Yeah, it's that's all hilarious. But Sir Lancelot the Brave's entrance to this movie. I don't even know where to start.
What Grant just said just a minute ago. The lack of a budget and how they did this is just so incredible.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
perfect.
So
Right.
on the one side of the coin, you have Sir Lancelot and his trusty servant, Concord. And they're traipsing through the woods on their quest for the Grail. And on the other side,
horse, jollyingly,
just plopping along. Oh, and that gets to another great point. The commitment to the bit is very evident here again, because he's basically talking his jaunt down the hillside to the horse. Oh, Concord, easy on this next one here, and then up, and then he steps over a log with his own 2 feet, and he's like, up and over, and we're back. The clopping continues.
Brings up a very interesting point. He is literally commanding his fake horse as if it is Concord.
I think that Concord.
Guy,
I think this is the budget. This is the budget speaking. They couldn't get a real horse with a pack. He couldn't talk to his horse named Concord, so they just stuck a guy with a backpack behind him who never really says anything. Well, he does, but Patsy doesn't, so he's the perfect analogy for he's just the horse. Like, Patsy's his horse. And the names make sense. Like, they're ridiculous.
Concord the horse. That would make total sense.
Patsy especially.
Patsy, that's a little
Come, Patsy.
Come,
Patsy. I hope that's true. We should look that up later.
Yeah.
But so you've got those two doing their thing in the woods, and then on the other side of the coin, you have 2 men having a conversation in a castle tower. And I think you should probably be the father in this, and I will be Herbert, the son. But to set the scene, these 2 guys are having a conversation on what is the son's wedding day, and they are discussing the upcoming events, and we'll go from there. Do you want to look the script up on this? Because now that we're at this scene is worth doing. The Tale of Sir Lancelot.
One day, lad, all this will be yours.
What, the curtains?
No, not the curtains, lad. All that you can see stretched over the hills and valleys, as far as the eye can see and beyond. That'll be your kingdom, lad.
But, Mother...
Father, lad.
But Father, I don't want any of that.
Listen, lad, I built this kingdom up from nothing. All I had when I started was swamp. Other kings said I was daft to build a castle in a swamp, but I built it all the same, just to show them. And it sank into the swamp. So I built another one. That one sank into the swamp. So I built another one. That one fell over and sank into the swamp. So I built another, and that one stayed up. And that's what you're going to get, lad. The most powerful kingdom on this island.
But I don't want any of that. I'd rather just sing.
No, you're not doing that. Not a song while I'm in here. Stop it. Now listen, lad. In 20 minutes, you're going to go to be married to a girl whose father owns the biggest tracts of open land in Britain.
But I don't want land.
Listen, Alice.
Herbert.
Herbert. We built this castle on a bloody swamp. We need all the land we can get.
But I don't like her.
Don't like her? What's wrong with her? She's beautiful. She's rich. She's got huge tracts of land.
I know, but I want the girl that I marry to have a certain special something.
Cut that out. Cut it out. Stop it. You're marrying Princess Lucky, so you better get used to the idea. 2 guards enter and stand to attention on either side of the door. One of them has hiccups and does so throughout. Make sure the prince doesn't leave this room until I come and get him.
Not to leave this room, even if you come and get him.
No. Until I come and get him.
Until you come and get him, we're not to enter the room.
No. You stay in the room and make sure he doesn't leave.
And you'll come and get him.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't need to do anything apart from just stopping him entering the room.
Leaving the room.
Leaving the room, yes.
It's simple. Just stay here and make sure he doesn't leave the room. Right?
Oh, I remember. Can he leave the room with us?
Keep him here and make sure he doesn't...
Oh, yes, we'll keep him in here, obviously, but if we had to leave and we were with him...
No, just keep him here.
Until you or anyone else...
No, not anyone else, just me.
Just you. Right, we'll stay here until you get back.
And you'll make sure he doesn't leave.
What?
Make sure he doesn't leave.
The prince?
Yes! Make sure he...
Oh, yes, of course. I thought you meant him. You know, it seemed a bit daft, me having to guard him when he's a god.
Is that clear?
Oh, quite clear, no problems.
Where are you going?
We're coming with you.
No. I want you to stay here and make sure he doesn't leave the room until I get back.
Oh, I see, right. But father!
Shut your noise, you, and get that suit on. No singing! Oh, go have a drink of water.
But father!
Father, I
don't want that. Holy shit, what? And then, so that's going on. And then we cut to the two other guards standing outside of the castle, guarding the entrance of the wedding.
The best.
One of them is casually eating an apple, and they're looking off into the distance. And when they cut to show us what they're looking at, we get a very excellent timpani roll in the background, and Sir Lancelot is charging with all of his might from about 500 yards away at this point. He's basically a speck on the horizon, but it's clearly a man running towards them, and the man eating the apple just continues to kind of stare at him in puzzlement. And this kind of exchange goes back and forth for 30 seconds, looking back at him running towards them. And every time they cut back to him running towards them, he is never any closer at all. And it's just like driving towards a mountain in the desert. Because for 3 hours, you see the mountain in the distance, and then suddenly you are in it.
It is the exact 3-second roll played each time of him bounding about 5 steps over the horizon hill, basically. And it's got that timpani roll. And I was telling Grant not long, I guess last night, but I was like, it's basically as though the director was given a script that said, here's what you need to do. You need to make the most dramatic possible scene of an army storming a castle. And that army, though, only has one guy.
And he can't go anywhere.
And that's kind of what they did a little.
He is basically on a treadmill.
It's pretty fantastic. There's no way to do it justice, but the fact that he never gets any closer, and the guards never react like he's any closer until eventually he arrives and stabs one of them.
And then the other guard goes, "Hey,
no,
hey." And then what ensues is Sir Lancelot massacring everybody that he comes in contact with, because we must back up for a moment, because the reason that Sir Lancelot is charging the castle,
we did forget,
is because right after the exchange between the king and his son Herbert stares the guards directly in his face and pens a note on a piece of paper while the guard is just smiling and grinning at him. And then he folds it up and he attaches it to an arrow, and he just looks at him and he kind of just leans toward the window and he casually pulls back on the bow, and you hear a whoop, and then he just sits back down and nothing happens. And then it cuts back to Sir Lancelot and his trusty servant Concord discussing the day's events, and you hear the whistle of an arrow and it lands pure in a target. And,
message for you, sir.
A message for you, sir. I think that was probably the first time I saw this movie as a kid, the irony, all of the layered comedy, all of the back end jokes, all the stuff that we're all in awe of now was lost on me. So really it was just the slapstick comedy. And then this line here, after the sound of the arrow lands, and then message for you, sir, because it's so Britishly delivered with, no emotion. Oh, I've been shot in the chest, but it appears that you, sir, my loyal command, have received a note.
Man, British really they are something else.
Sniff up for living, all of that.
Yeah. Message for you. Happy to die for it.
So Lancelot reads this and realizes this is his opportunity to make a statement as one of the Knights of the Round Table, and hopefully to make a connection that will lead him to the Grail.
His horse / guy just got shot, and after reading the note, saying again, that I'm being forced to marry against my will. I'm being held by my father in castle, whatever it is. And he looks and he grabs Concord by the shoulder, who he assumes is dead.
Yeah.
And goes, "Finally, Concord, A moment of conquest.
Not a moment of grief or shed a tear whatsoever. And then Concord responds,
Purpose.
actually, I'm not quite dead, sir.
Ah, all right, Concord. Well, certainly you will not have been mortally wounded in vain.
Actually, I think I might pull through, sir.
No, sweet Concord, no, not another word. And then, he abandons him, clearly. Because
He literally says, as soon as I'm done with my quest, I'll send for help. Not the first, not the latter first. As soon as I'm done with my quest.
You're a whore.
Concord just says, well, I'll just wait for you here then.
Very good, Concord.
So that is what precedes the massacre that is now ongoing in the castle. As Lancelot makes his way to the top of the tower to rescue his would-be prisoner, he bursts into the room. He slaughters both guards who have stood there and followed instructions and not let him leave the room. That they have fallen on their own. They've fallen in the line of duty, and he enters the room without looking. He bends the knee in front of his rescuee and introduces himself. And he goes, "Oh, you got my note."
Hold on. Before this, keep in mind, he has entered the castle. He is beginning to swing wildly at any passerby. Some of those passerbys are an old priest, the father of the bride.
Food.
There is a circle of women perceived to be probably pre-teenage.
Bridesmaids, no doubt.
Seeming like a merry-go-round. Well, he goes and kills a few of them. He then makes his way up the stairs, gets so hell-bent into chopping, he has to kill a bouquet of flowers on the wall, and then also, the wait staff and those who might still be there, then gets upstairs and presents himself at a knee to what turns out to be Grant. Please continue.
At this point, Herbert looks down and goes, "Oh, you got my note." "You're here to rescue me." And he said, and Lancelot looks up and goes, "Let's not get carried away," because he realizes he was old. And at this moment, the father returns to the room, having witnessed this massacre and followed the trail of bodies. And he enters the room thinking he's going to attack someone. And Lancelot is quick to explain the misunderstanding.
And oddly enough, the father is very understanding.
Just like, I thought he was a woman. I totally understand.
I can understand that.
Yes, but you've murdered half my wedding guests. Terribly sorry, but you see, I received this note.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm trying to find the Holy Grail for King Arthur. I'm a knight of the Round Table. At which
and that's
point
the hook.
No round table. Oh, wow. All's forgiven, really.
Yeah. So he transitions. In the meanwhile, while this exchange is occurring, he's apologizing for having slaughtered the guests. He's explained who he is, and the father has realized, hey, this is a good connection to have. Herbert has been, in the meantime, concocting a very elaborate sheet rope in which to escape the tower with. He's made it long enough to hit the ground. He throws it out the window. He's halfway out the window himself, almost all the way, and he goes, "Lancelot, we must go." And at that point, the father says, "How would you feel about a drink?" "Oh, well, very polite of you." And at that point, he just walks over and takes a dagger out, cuts the rope, and just lets it go. You hear the son go, "Ooh!" There's a long quiet as they walk out the door discussing drinks, and then you just hear... So then they come back out on the stairwell, and the entirety of the wedding party sees Lancelot, who's just slaughtered half of the guests. And they charge. They're like, "Oh my God, he's there! That's him!" So they start charging up the stairs. He immediately goes back into action mode. He's slashing and burning. Finally, the king gets him under control. He's, "I'm sorry, I just get into a mode." It's like, it's understandable. Whatever you gotta do. He's just like, "Look, guys, everybody settle down. We're all gathered here on a day of joy. This is supposed to be the wedding of my son, who, unfortunately, just fell out of the tall tower and died.
Recently passed."
But I like to think of it not so much as losing a son, but as gaining a daughter.
And as I understand, the Princess Lucky's father having only recently died.
Actually, he might pull through, sir. And then the king just gives a little nod to the guard.
You die.
Mortally wounded, who suddenly, when he thought he was going to survive, felt the icy hand of death reach up and grab him in surprise. Oh, it's dead now, sir. At which point, it is discovered that the son did in fact survive his fall. Concord, having made his way to the castle to assist Sir Lancelot in his conquest, has carried him in because he's obviously broken both legs, but he's carried Herbert back in, and he's like, I'm going to tell you what happened. And then at this point, the whole crowd starts chanting a song. He's going to tell. He's going to tell. He's going
Mind
to
you,
tell.
they're all bloody. There's
Blood everywhere. Dead bodies everywhere.
Yeah, it's been just a goddamn massacre. And now they're singing about he's going to tell.
It made the Gorman Plaza look like Toys R Us. It was just like, oh my God. So that's going on. Concord, he's, oh, by the way, the king has offered to go ahead and just marry Lancelot to this woman to just knock it in. He's really prospecting at this point. He's like, I've got King Arthur and huge tracts of land that I could put in one place under my name. This is what's up. But Lancelot's not having any of that, so he tries to make an escape by swinging on the chandelier out or the rope or whatever. Of course, he's never done that. It's not really his bag, and he only makes it to where he's just hanging over the crowd. And he says, would one of you mind giving me a bit of a nudge?
And so just again to recap on this is Sir Lancelot the Brave, or the Bold, or what was it?
The Brave, yeah.
The Brave. Okay, so Sir Lancelot the Brave. His moment of conquest that proves who he is in essence, his friend is shot / horse with an arrow. He gives no shits about that. Goes to, for his own selfish purposes, rescue a damsel who turns out to not be a damsel, and in the process, murders an entire village.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, both sides of a family.
Yeah, kills a lineage at the very least.
Yes, absolutely.
Strikes a non-deal with the guy who eventually forgave him of all of that and tries to escape of his own.
Just immediately.
Never marries anyone and gets out scot-free to proceed to try to find the Grail.
Which takes us to Sir Galahad, the Chaste. Now, we're not going to do that entire exchange because it's a long one. There's actually, I don't know, when you watched it, what were you watching it on? Because I watched it on Amazon, and there's an extended clip of the Zoot. That was pretty good. Which is it was a little bit, I guess, probably too on the nose for the. We have no budget for theaters, but yeah, the studio's like maybe just one DAC on the jokes, but no, that whole thing, he knocks on the door because he sees the image of the Grail in the sky in these horrible conditions. You hear what you assume is a wolf, but at this point in the movie, there's been so many cats banged against walls because apparently that is the only tool they have to dust rugs and do whatever and the cats seem to be fine with it. I mean, they're yelling, but they're not really in pain. Like they're just kind of like, hey, stop that.
They're not fighting back. I mean,
but at any rate, he finally makes it to the walls of a castle where he's seen the Grail. And he managed to stagger through the door, and at which point he discovers a castle full of women, and they are very intrigued by this young, handsome, brave, gallant knight having stormed in their presence, and it becomes clear quickly that they are also starved of attention, to put it mildly. And their conversation proceeds to go from learning that he's a knight and that he's possibly wounded to, requesting a spanking and the oral sex, which at this point really kind of piques his interest. He's been very chaste at this point. He's fighting with all his might. It's like, no, I've sworn an oath. I'm good. Don't tempt me anymore. But at this offer of the spanking and the oral sex, he's finally piqued. And he's like, okay, well, let's talk about that. At that point, Sir Lancelot makes another grand entrance. Swinging his sword again. This time I don't think he kills anybody, but he definitely comes in with hostile intent to inform Sir Galahad that he is in grave peril. And he must be rescued.
Character of this film, now that I'm thinking about it.
Do what?
Sir Lancelot may be the best character of this film.
Oh, without question. He's just like all of the stupidity that the rest of them have, and the false confidence in that stupidity. He doesn't have. It's just actual confidence because he's not an idiot. He actually is. He kind of makes his way through. He obviously is an idiot too, but the slaughter
He's
of
a
the.
selfish asshole.
Yeah, he's the id. He is the lizard brain charging through the wedding party, just massacre.
Sir Galahad can't have it because he can't have it. So therefore,
Yeah.
he's not going to take it.
Like, yeah,
So
you don't want it.
Left him there, but he was in no peril. He's like, I want to go back and fight the peril. He's like, no, you shouldn't.
No, he can take us all at once. Yeah. And then finally that exchange hand. He's like, I bet you're gay.
No, I'm not. The entire thing is just a 14-year-old's masturbation, like wet dream, right? So that's all it is. So Galahad is, of course, the chaste, as they point out. So he's a virgin. And so, like, the beginning part is he's nervous and he doesn't know what to do until eventually he's coming around to it. And he's like, I'm fucking ready to do it. And then, of course, the brave and the bold and those who are supposed to tell you. I mean, the symbolism is pretty easy there, but tells you shouldn't do it, comes and take you away. And he's like, what the fuck? I'm ready to do it.
Yeah, why did you come and interrupt this now?
Yeah, exactly. So, anyhow, I mean, like...
It's like you said, it's every middle schooler's wet dream interrupted by the morning alarm or their mom banging on the door to tell them to get up for school or whatever. Exactly. And just like...
Someone
really?
saying, hey,
yeah,
it's over.
Yeah, you're in grave peril.
it is kind of a funny scene, but I will say it's one of the weaker ones, I think, in my mind. Like that and the Knights Who Say Knee are kind of that.
Yeah, the Knights Who Say Knee is it has the same ridiculosity. It's a little so much over the top. Plus, there's some very annoying music because of the way they play the violin. So, yeah, it's not one I skip because it's still funny. And there's a little bit of a warm spot for that scene because if you recall when we were in middle school debate class or whatever the hell it was, government, I don't even remember.
It's amazing we ever got a girlfriend ever.
Oh, I know. But we and Ned Brew, rest in peace, Ned, commissioned the yearbook staff to let us take out a full page ad of our group, whatever it was. I think it was like science decathlon.
I don't even remember. We were like Quiz Bowl or something.
We used to be smart, so we knew what these things were called, but whatever the hell, it was like Jeopardy, but for idiots. Anyway, we convinced the yearbook staff to let us put an ad that just had the picture of us hanging out in front of the school called The 9 Knights Who Say Knee. And we thought that was cool as shit. So
it was not.
No, it was not. So, and I'll see if I can get a picture or a copy of that image for the podcast to put up. No, we're going to put that on full display. It needs to be seen for what it was. That's how we grow. We look at ourselves. And
I don't want to grow. I'm done growing.
Yeah, I think I'm tall enough. But anyway, yeah. So the knights are all assembled. They start making their way to Camelot. They get to Camelot, at which point we get a really good musical number. Which we won't sing for you, but the Knights of the Round Table are quite formidable, as they will tell you, but pretty silly. And this is ironic because Arthur deems this to be just a little bit beyond the pale. The coconuts are a valid means of transportation, but choreographed round table is going to be far more than he can take. So he says, on second thought, let's not go to Camelot. 'Tis a silly place. I think my favorite part of that scene is the prisoner hanging from the chains in the wall. He's clearly like 100 feet down, and he's clapping to the music because that clearly goes on all the time. He's got no choice. It's just eventually the rhythm's going to get you.
It is a prelude of Life of Brian. Always look on the bright side of life, man.
Yeah, I think that guy was on one of those crosses in the background.
I'm sure it was Michael Palin's.
That probably was. Yeah. So yeah. The crew's assembled. They're trotting along. They've decided to discard the Camelot idea. And at this point, I think they've decided to drift aimlessly because they don't really have another goal after that. And at that moment, the Lord on high emerges from the clouds and says, Arthur, King of the Britons. And at this point, the groveling commences. Stop groveling. Yes. Sorry, Lord. Stop apologizing. It's like those miserable songs.
I'm sorry this and I'm sorry that. No, I'm not worthy.
What are you doing now? Averting my eyes, oh Lord. Oh, stop it. Right. And so then he commissions them to seek the Grail, and Arthur astutely points out, good idea, oh Lord.
Of course it's a good idea.
Of course it's a good idea. Oh my God. That is exactly how I envision God. You're like, I don't have time for this shit. I didn't come down here to watch you bend over. I need to talk to you.
So much of the Old Testament involves God speaking directly to people.
Right.
And how could it not have gone exactly that way? Oh, Lord, shut up, man.
Yeah.
I already know.
You dropped one of 2 tablets. That's why I gave you 2. But the second one was important. It had rape and some other things on there that we're going to really need later. We'll get to that. We got some other stuff to do.
Why did you write the same thing down twice, dude? Like, seriously, they weren't that hard. They were very much available. They were just so simple. The sentences are simple, and you just, like, 4 of them are just worse than me. You threw that shit in there.
Yeah.
Just to placate me because you broke the other one.
You had like four drafts of that, and you forgot which one you had saved over, and you had 4 different versions of "Don't worship other gods than me," which we got, but like, maybe spare one for the slaves or stop the rape. I don't know, just thought. Any hoodles.
I don't know if God's that nice. I think he's like, you could have knocked out all 10 of those and just don't worship anybody else but me. I think that's pretty cool. And like, don't be a dick to people.
Yeah, don't worship other gods, which evidently needed to be said.
So many times. And
Curious
by the way,
about...
when it came down to the mount, they were worshiping an idol because apparently that's just what people do, because that is what people do.
So, yeah, they've now been given a quest by God to find the Holy Grail. And, the actual quest for the Grail is obviously beside the point for this entire film. They have decided
that they are searching for, but they never really care about it.
Right, because they don't. God doesn't even say why that they need to go find it. He's just like, go bring me this cup. I need a pimp's cup from a Pim's cup, and so that they're just kind of wandering. Ultimately, they meet the knights. They meet the knights who say knee, and Robin has his own run-in with the 3-headed knight, which is kind of similarly, it's funny, but it's kind of just like, oh, he's scarping. So he is. He's bugging off.
We get a good bit of Terry Gilliam's cartoon work, and also the minstrels are eaten during a heavy wind.
Robin's revenge. He finally gets to eat one of the minstrels that's been dunking on him the whole movie with his very insulting lyrics. They are sent to an enchanter. Well, they're sent to. Is it Arthur and Bedivere have a vision of this old man who says, if you want to find a girl, you got to go to this bridge, and then it disappears and turns out they're just in the middle of the woods. Yeah. It's like, did they get into some hallucinogen? What do we got going on here?
No, it was from the shrubbery and the knights who say knee, and they told him to go talk to this guy, and that guy gave, yeah. And so then he disappears, and he ends up being the bridge keeper later on. But that's, of course, first after they have to go see Tim the Enchanter, who then gives them and by the way, Tim the Enchanter is, of course, John Cleese. And the only thing about Tim the Enchanter you need to know is that he can set shit on fire, and he does so accordingly all the time and without purpose.
They clearly had allotted a significant amount of their budget to the pyrotechnics and realized they had to use them. And so the entire scene of John Cleese as Tim the Enchanter, what are those that call me Tim? It's like he's asking. Tim? He spends like 5 minutes just launching nukes at mountainsides, and then he uses it to appear and disappear at will. And it's very clear. They were like, just point, and every time you point, we'll blow something up. And then when we run out of explosives, we'll just have you appear in front of them.
And it's also very important because the next scene, we're going to have them face a monster that is a bunny. Now, we've just proven that this guy can blow up basically whole mountainside.
He can launch fire at will. He even uses his staff as a flamethrower to challenge their own doubts. And then he proceeds to take them to the nastiest beast that is in all of existence with very big, nasty teeth, which turns out to be a white bunny rabbit, which apparently it has never occurred to him to barbecue. But I realized very quickly that he is going to be very entertained by the slaughter that ensues if he doesn't, so he lets them have at it. And they send 3 of their best knights to their graves. We learn that Arthur cannot distinguish or talk about the number 3 without first saying number 5, because he says, we lost Gawain, so-and-so, and so-and-so. That's 5. 3, sir. 3, right.
Also, they just keep on making up new knights that were like, of course, never mentioned.
Yeah, where did they come from in the story?
Yeah. One of them's Jones, like Jones the Knight.
Yeah. One of them is Key Grip. Yeah. You're right. So they sacrifice the red shirt or the green shirt, yellow shirts, whatever it is in Star Trek. Whoever goes on the away mission that's wearing the wrong color shirt, they're the ones that get killed. It's like basic formulaic TV. But anyway, so after the slaughter is done, they have a discussion after retreating about what to do about this threat, and they uncover the fact that they've been apparently carrying in their entourage also a whole monastery full of information, including the Book of Armaments and the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
And Father Maynard.
Brother Maynard.
Or Maynard, yes.
And Brother Maynard reads from the Book of Armaments, and that is a long list of ridiculousness, which we won't get into, other than to say, suffice it to say, the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 is too many. 2 is right out.
Yeah. 2 is not enough unless proceeded by 3.
Yeah.
4 being too many. 5 is too much. 6 is right out.
6 is right out. So they count to 5. Frieza, 3. Which does not cost them any time. Fortunately, throws the grenade, they blow up the bunny, and then they're able to find their way into the castle, where they read the inscription of the dying words of whoever they said it was, Joseph of Arimathea.
Yeah.
And he ends the sentence describing where the Holy Grail is by saying it's in the castle of What?
What?
Well,
Well, he must have died while he was writing it.
he wouldn't have bothered to take the time to write it down. He would have just died. Perhaps he was dictating. Perhaps he was dictating. That's actually the best explanation for what possibly happened. And then, then we get even more use of the animation of as used as a plot device, because it pushes the story forward. They didn't have to spend any money on the budget of making an actual monster for them to flee. It's really not point. It has no point in the story other than to get them back out of the cave. Now that they've learned that they need to find the castle Arg, whatever that is, and then they get to the bridge. And this bridge of destiny is where they must answer questions 3. They're the other side they see. And they volunteer Sir Robin to do this first, but he's like, no, I am not doing that. And Sir Lancelot's like, I'll do it. So he goes up to the guy. Confident morons, but he's just like, fuck it. Somebody's got to do it. So he walks up.
What is your name? What do you seek?
And then, what is your favorite color? Blue. All right, off you go. All right then. Well, this heartens Robin, so he charges up and gets the same first 2 questions, but instead of the third question being a gimme, he gets, what is the capital of Aramea?
Well, I don't know that.
At which point, Robin is launched bodily into the the Canyon of Destiny, presumably never to be seen again.
And poor Sir Galahad has to go next.
Sir Galahad goes next. He lacks confidence himself, so when asked his favorite color, he says blue. No, wait. And then he's launched bodily. At this point, it's just Bedivere and Arthur left, and perhaps Patsy. Yeah, I think Patsy's still there. Although I'm not sure. Somebody gets crushed by the Trojan horse after the French scene, which we didn't do. But
Patsy was just, I think he died somewhere, but he was not there. It was just Bedivere, and they may have brought him back, but it was just...
Somebody was crushed by their Trojan rabbit, so that was probably when Patsy ate it. Anyway, it's Bedivere and Arthur. They get up to the gatekeeper, and he asks him the question. He goes, what? His last question is, what is the airspeed velocity of a swallow?
What do you mean? Was that a European swallow or an African swallow?
Well, I don't do that. And the gatekeeper is launched into the canyon, and the bridge is open, and they are free to complete their quest. Now, we do have to go back and talk about the castle scene with the French guards.
I know so much about swallows.
Because it is relevant in the last scene. But they come across, they can't find Sir Lancelot. He's nowhere to be seen. And then we get a cut to, he has been arrested by modern police. He's being handcuffed. They've discovered his sword. That's a deadly weapon you got there.
Just kind of, it'd been playing on it a little, but just so weird to the context of the movie. Like, this
right.
Is just
the only other hint of modernity that we've seen, other than a vague hint of it at the beginning, was when Arthur and the team of Camelot has received their orders to go on the quest, and they show this modern-day British historian describing the scenes unfolding and saying what they're about to do next. And as he concludes his summary of the events, an actual knight on a horse rides by with a sword and just slashes his throat, kills him on the spot, just drops him dead in the woods, and his wife comes running from behind the camera.
Family's on site.
just no explanation for why that happened or how that's relevant. But
it does sound like Lancelot, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, like I still to this day, until we've talked about it, not watched to see who the knight was. It was a knight. But yeah, maybe it was Lancelot.
Yeah, I mean,
like, but on a real but this is where we get confused because he's actually on a horse. There is not a clopping of the that's how you know we're in the.
That proves it would not be any of the people that that they suspect it might be.
Exactly, but it also shows us that this is what Calvin is really this is what Calvin's parents are seeing. And Absolutely. What we're seeing is Hobbes. Mm-hmm. And these idiots running around. And it turns out they're doing this in like a park somewhere. And they're about to get arrested for their project. Yeah, so they cross the border. They get in there. And they find that the castle that the stupid Grail is in is again manned by the French guards, who we didn't talk about already. But the French guards that taunted them at the beginning, if you've seen this movie, you know which part it is. And I don't have a good enough French accent to even do the bit, so I won't even try to do it. But they are once again thwarted by the castle Arg and the French guards, who launch their first assault at them by just lobbing a chicken at them or an animal of some kind, which they've already done before. A cow. And so they are attacking the castle and using their swords to do this, which is another brilliant aspect of Arthur's whole attack strategy. Every time he launches an attack, it is literally just to swing their swords at a stone wall, just hacking mightily at nothing. But yeah, so and then they convince the army that has been referenced a few times in the background of like cutscenes to get on with it already, which we will probably use to keep this podcast going and in some of the cutscenes on this episode.
Because we got the whole like castle invasion way off because we didn't even do the Trojan horse, and now
we skipped a few scenes just because I wanted to get through the biggest quotable ones because I knew we were going to do. I knew we were going to do Dennis.
In your direction,
Yeah, I farted you.
I farted in your direction. Yeah.
No, the French guard scenes are excellent rewatches, but I can't do the accent well enough to do it justice.
Your father was a hamster, and your mother smelled of elderberries. I can't either, but it's so funny.
Oh, it's a great scene. But yeah, so then they convince the army to finally charge at this castle so they can get the Grail, and at that point, the police intervene. They've seen enough, and paddy wagons emerge, and they stop everybody dead in their tracks, and they just start arresting people because they're guilty of crimes. For one, somebody's been murdered, and they're all running around with deadly weapons.
And it turns out everyone was just LARPing.
Yeah, this is just one giant live-action role play of a very bad Arthurian legend, based in no way in reality. And it's one of the best movies. It's certainly one of the best comedies of my lifetime, just in terms of my favorite watches. I don't know how it stacks up canonically with other comedies, and is it an all-timer? I don't know. I've never done the deep dive because I don't care. There's nothing that could be said about this movie that would make any bit of it less funny to me.
I will tell you what the difference is. I think we'll never be able to experience what people who are like our age, whenever we first watched this, that age right now, like I don't know what they're watching.
Who knows?
But like back when we watched Monty Python, remember how long had cinema really been around? I mean, 1970s British humor was still considered pretty transcendental almost. I mean, it was
right.
It was just pretty crazy stuff.
And it was not, Monty Python and the Holy Grail is by far one of the tamest things that their entire comedy troupe ever produced because, The Life of Brian is banned in multiple countries to this day.
Nudity.
Yeah, right. Male and female, full bush, and of course they make an absolute mockery of the story of Christ, not Christians themselves or Christ himself. It is just an oblique. Yeah, it's. If you haven't seen Monty Python's Life of Brian, that is if you've watched Monty Python's Holy Grail, and you got to watch another one. There are other ones you can watch, but it simply has to be Life of Brian first before you can explore any of the rest of it. Because if you don't do that first,
banned in Ireland for a while.
Yeah, it probably still is in a lot of countries, and I haven't checked. But the satirical humor, the subversive, what have the Romans ever given us? Bit undercut by the long list of shit that the Romans gave them. But like that doesn't justify anything. It's just brilliant. But anyway, then you can watch Now for Something Completely Different and Meaning of Life and all that stuff, and it will all be infinitely funnier to you if you've gotten enough of the base layer of Monty Python through those two movies. And and then you're good because Flying Circus is available to you, and it won't just be ridiculous on its face. Because I don't know about you, if I hadn't already had the Monty Python's Holy Grail foundation, when I came across the parrot scene, a lumberjack song, or whatever, I would have probably either never found it or never thought it was funny, because I've just been like, I don't have any basis for what the silliness is. This is just a stupid song about lumberjack.
Yeah, I might have eventually gotten there, but I mean, like, but I mean, that bass line was 100%. And by the way, the Monty Python's Holy Grail is one of those rare movies that, as a kid, it was still funny, even though I didn't understand it. And because it was still that one, it was a period piece for kids like that, but it had its own little slapstick to it. It had, the Black Knight scene is very much a funny to a kid scene.
Oh yeah, and the obviously fake bloods. I mean, it's PG.
Yeah.
Of course, that was exactly. That's back when the rating system was basically like, if there's not a full hardcore sex scene or multiple beheadings, then it's probably PG-13 at worst, right?
I also love the fact that we assign something.
Unless they say the F word.
Well, like if your parents are letting you like watch it or not, there's the guidance, right? What is that rating? Parental guidance. Like, okay. What's D?
Which is really just if your parents have allowed you to view a screen, then you could probably watch this.
Well, nowadays it's just, do you have the internet? So why are we doing this?
Yeah, right.
But no, I mean, like, that was the great thing about it, is that it was still that. So like, even as we got older and suddenly we started to understand it, then we could use that as that baseline for the dead parrot scene and the lumberjack song, and eventually the Life of Brian. Because I remember the first time I watched the Life of Brian, I was like, not as good. And now I watch it, and I'm like, that is amazing. That is amazing.
That's one I have not watched in full in a long time, and so that'll probably be, if that's not our next movie, it'll be on the list for a while to get to, because you're right. That one is, that's probably definitely true of Meaning of Life and some of the other stuff that I haven't revisited as many times, because like you said, Holy Grail was funny to a kid on the surface level for the slapstick, the fake blood, all that stuff. But then as we get older, we had more comedic mix, I guess, in our repertoire. We understood more about the world and ourselves. Like, then you go back, you watch it again, and you're like, oh my god, there's no way these guards would have had this conversation in this era, whatever it is. As you graduate your own emotional understanding, this movie gets funnier in all these different ways, and that's got to be true with the other stuff. But
and also, it's just, and here's the best thing of what I always have looked at, I guess, or what the realization in my own mind is, to most good comedic movies, or just even like good comedic characters, is there an adult who acts like a child?
Yeah.
Because almost all of us, every single day, in almost every single thing we do, we pretend we're adults. But are we? Think about how mad you get about small things.
Oh, it happened today. We're buying a house. Me and Kate got into an argument. I was mad about the tone of voice, not about the fact that she was absolutely right about what she said. I was like, well, you could have been nice about it. I was ultimately was pissed off about. Once it settles down, we go to our corners. It's like, okay, yeah, I know I'm an idiot, but
I got mad at Laura
when you remind me.
Yeah, I mean, like, about something stupid. Like, I was like, I don't feel like we see the same reality. I'm like, what the fuck am I 13 and a girl? What was that?
Oh, I know.
We're all
it's
children.
Just like,
that's just
But you're right, though, and that is what kind of underlies the humor of this movie. But also, like, it kind of plays out. You start to notice that in other stuff, and you realize that the best character in any given show or a movie is the one who is not quite adulting right.
Yeah.
It's the goofy uncle that blows into town. He gets the dad in trouble because the brother, the brothers or whatever, and the kids end up having to rescue him or whatever. There's just all these different ways that you can have the non-adulting adult show up, and it's like Wedding Crashers is hilarious because it looks like they're high-level divorce attorneys, but what they actually are disgusting fuckboys that need to be taken down a peg. We skipped a few of the scenes that we mentioned, not because we didn't like them, but just because in terms of discussing a movie, they really serve no purpose other than comedic fill.
And we didn't necessarily agree that we were going to do line by line.
That's true. We tried not to, because we could have definitely just done the movie, and we'd have taken the same amount of time. So maybe we'll do a reshoot tomorrow.
Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, that's definitely what we should have done.
We do need what we need is like one other person that has a good British accent to just be like the crowd filler, like banner anyway, because you got to be able to just like nail the Cleese parts, like she turned me into a newt, and you can't be doing like because because he has some great. Because that needs to be.
You can't be the woman in Bedivere. They're talking to each other.
I know it's difficult, but I do think that the Bedivere scene went really well, and the dentist scene was perfect.
I think they all went well. Honestly, yeah. I enjoyed all of them. No, I look forward to listening to them.
I do too, and I certainly enjoyed rewatching the movie for I think like the fourth time in about 2 months, because I watched it again recently for no particular reason other than I discovered it on Amazon or whatever. Yeah. And then I think when I started doing I made the intro video for this podcast, I was listening to that music every day while I was editing the video. And so it's just like, well, I got to watch it now. And like you said, it was pretty much playing in my head anyway, because the backdrop of the music was enough for me to just quote the lines.
I mean, like, this is kind of sad, but like when we were having dinner earlier, Laura turned on the dead parrot scene. And so I was like, well, I feel like I've already been watching a lot of Monty Python. And she was like, well, why don't you just listen to it? And I was like, okay. And then I just started quoting the whole thing, like along with it. She's like, do you even enjoy this? I was like, I do.
It's kind of like work. It's like being a baseball player. Like, yeah, roping a single to left field is great, but I do like 477 times this month.
Well, it was more on the side of like, I was like, why aren't you laughing at the thing I'm doing now?
Yeah. Can you not hear how much better my version is than what you've heard on television? We went and saw Spamalot.
I'm making it better.
1 year, John was in the orchestral pit for the Spamalot production at the high school. And cool. Yeah, it was great. They did a great job with it. But at one point, I think I was sitting next to my mom, and she was like, you have got to stop quoting lines because you're ruining it for everybody else. I was like, no, I'm enhancing it for everybody else. And plus, they're getting it wrong.
Oh, Miss Pam, you're wrong.
That's what I had to tell her. And I didn't stop, obviously, because,
how could you?
I have to push the Pramalot.
I have to push the Pramalot. Pramalot.
So, yeah, I guess to wrap up, we should just... is there anything that we missed that you wanted to discuss, or any, themes or topics that... beyond the movie itself that went, because we talked about their cultural impact with some of the other movies. This one I don't think had the same controversy. They don't really address anything that people get upset about. So
there were a few things that I think one of the Beatles was the financier for this movie. I think it was George Harrison, and there's a few other like little odds and ends. Like obviously Graham Chapman was a raging alcoholic during this time period. Also a not closeted, but kind of closeted homosexual during the 1970s and 60s. All of the cast knew, but I guess not everyone else did. Also, maybe and I'm not trying to stereotype or anything, but if I'm remembering correctly, I think he had like a series of Asian boys who accompanied him to sets. I guess everybody kind of knew, but it was time.
Plus, what do we know about London culture in 1970?
That is very true. Yeah, according to Austin Powers, it was very open.
It does seem as though all of the. Well, did you ever read John Cleese's autobiography? First of all, it's impossible to read anything he wrote without hearing his voice.
Absolutely.
So that makes the book 10 times better, just because you hear it in his voice. And I'm sure if there is an audiobook, he did the reading, but. At any rate, he taught. I think I remember him mentioning the George Harrison financing part, but yeah, he didn't spend a ton of time on the Monty Python bit because I'm sure that's the one thing he talks about the most in any given interview, and this is an opportunity for him to talk about all the other stuff. But it's just he is such a pivotal element of the group, and like you said, maybe the star of this movie in terms of. His character arc is probably the least interesting because he comes in hot, he leaves hot, other than he gets arrested. So, he's just kind of flash in the pan, but he kind of steals every scene he's in.
Graham Chapman is technically the star of the movie, but almost every single movie that Monty Python does, John Cleese is the unequivocal star. He plays most of the characters, the most memorable characters. His delivery is almost outstanding. Almost perfect every single time. Even when he's the straight character, like say, for instance, what you would think would be the straight character in the dead parrot scene, he is not the straight character. He is, in fact, the crazy one going, Polly. You'd think the crazy one was the guy who nailed the parrot to the perch, but no.
He's trying to sell a bird. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. So, even like he's Lancelot, sure, but even like, he's Tim the Enchanter. He's, Michael Palin, by the way, also is that right there next to him.
Mike, yeah, that's a good point because obviously they had different levels of success or went on to do different levels of things in the post career of Python. You know, Eric Idle, we see a lot in movies. He was in Casper, I think.
He was.
But, other than being like Brother Maynard and a few of the other roles, he doesn't stand out much. You know, Sir Robin is, by definition, a pretty passive character. So he's not really an element, but he is funny. He just doesn't have the chance to shine as much here. And as a result, I think that kind of shaded my opinion of all of them going into other stuff. But you're right.
Yeah.
Cleese is the king. Graham Chapman is close, but his comic delivery is such a drier nature. And honestly, the funniest thing he ever did was in Postmortem, because it was when they did that reunion special at the Hollywood Bowl, and they had Graham Chapman's ashes on the coffee table. And at one point, I think it's John Cleese crosses his legs and kicks it over and just sprays his ashes. No, I assume it wasn't really his ashes, but it's one of the best comedy bits.
Pull out a dustbuster.
I was just crying, laughing, watching that scene. And part of it is because I know that had Graham Chapman been part of the group to make the decision, he would have fully endorsed it. So that made it even better. But yeah, it's Cleese and Michael Palin is.
Yeah. And the reason behind that, like with the Eric Idle too, because they all tended to kind of pair up. And although John Cleese and Graham Chapman did, also John Cleese and Michael Palin did. And Eric Idle did not really have that same team membership with anybody, but like Terry Gilliam and Terry Jones tended to kind of work together because they both wanted to do the direction.
And they were into the cartoons, so they didn't have as much like visible post roles. So yeah, Eric Idle just kind of floated in the wind by comparison.
And remember, Holy Grail was directed by Terry Gilliam and Terry Jones.
Right. And then John Cleese and I'm pretty sure it was Michael Palin were in Fierce Creatures with Jamie Lee Curtis. And that's a great movie too. And that's the thing about John Cleese. Fish Called Wanda is amazingly good. Yeah. Oh man, I got to watch both of those. That may be a double featured pod or something. But
dude, I just watched Michael Palin in The Death of Stalin, which is an Armando Iannucci movie, available on I think it's on Hulu right now. But I had never watched it all the way through. Steve Buscemi, like it's got a huge cast to it, dude. Really good. Jeffrey Tambor.
Well, anything Palin's in,
just so
I'll check that out. But yeah, that's the weird part about Eric Idle, though, is I think of him as part of the group. He is funny in everything he does. I mean, the brighter side of life at the end of Life of Brian is just comedy gold. Yeah, that's true. He's the musical influence, and by that standard, he's definitely the most talented singer. The rest of them don't do much of it, and he does the majority of it. And if you have the Monty Python Sing CD, it has the Galaxy song at the end when they sacrifice they harvest the woman's organs. There's just the Holy Grail is unique in the sense that it's one of the few pieces of work they did that is contained in a story arc, even if it's ridiculous and the ending doesn't make any sense to the actual story they're telling. It's
very
at
clear
least
they didn't have an ending, so they just went with something stupid.
Well, yeah, they either ran out of money or they just didn't know how to write that ending without it just being Lancelot murders everyone and then kills himself in a cult-like maneuver. But yeah. And obviously the sound mixing, the music is on point throughout the entire movie. And the coconut, you've got two empty heads of coconuts and you're banging them together. And that's it. That's the last time we talk about it.
Yeah, they never should have given the Monty Python team any budget for any movie, just simply because all the things they wanted to do, and then them telling them you can't do that, and them having to find another way to do it.
And then they spent it all on pyrotechnics.
Yeah. I mean, it was just outstanding.
The other bit with the horses that was hilarious that I've probably noticed before, but it really caught my attention this viewing, was when they get to I think it's the rabbit hole or wherever, they get to a slope and you hear one of them go, whoa, something got them startled. Dismount, and they all as a group dismount the horses and leave the horses behind, and that includes the minstrels. They actually stay back, so I think that kind of confirms that the minstrels were horses, and they couldn't use real horses, so they just brought in stand-ins and said, "Your name is Patsy."
That makes sense as to why they're Patsy and Concord and all horse names. Yeah, okay.
And they were forced to eat the minstrels. That it wasn't cannibalism; they were eating horse meat. It wasn't a big deal. They probably did all the time in real life.
But the minstrels weren't they were the song people.
Well, right, but that kind of goes to my point that like none of those people were real. They were just figments of these idiots' imagination, and they were either horses or they were singing minstrels. Where the hell did Brother Maynard come from?
The whole time
he was not there at all until it was time to start nuking shit. So it's like it's like this weird fever dream where they're incepting ideas as they go, and it just kind of manifests. It's brilliant, and it's obviously hilarious. But
skip a bit, brother.
Skip a bit, brother. The fruit bats and the breakfast cereals and the orangutans.
And the Lord did speak, and saith to thee, O holy hand grenade, go forth, and blow thine enemy into itsy bitsy tiny bits.
Oh my god. I think I remember as a kid watching any movie, whatever it was, Top Gun or Stand By Me. If there's an action scene that was particularly cool as young kids, we would try to reenact it some kind of way. So if it was Top Gun, we would, in the backseat of the car, we'd pretend to have face masks and we'd call in radio orders. And then in the basement, we would play Stand By Me. We had these like circular pillows that were pretty similar matches to the sleeping bags that they had slung over their shoulders in the movie. Yeah. So we would do the train scene where we chuck them over the side and dive out of the way. And for Monty Python, we would get pillows and we would smash ourselves in the head with them and say, "On Su Domine." Whap. Don Ice Requiem. My parents, my dad introduced us to the movie, so I'm sure he thought it was hilarious, but my mom must have thought we were the dumbest thing she's ever seen in her life. And then everybody ever that saw us in middle school probably had the same opinions.
I honestly can't discount them. I believe them. They are correct. They were correct then. I mean,
the only difference is now I don't give a shit what they think, and I want to talk about Monty Python, so we just spent 2 hours doing it.
It's going to be tough for me to like look at any offspring, and like them banging a board against their heads. Like, short of them doing that, I'm like, all right, I guess they're smarter than I am.
Yeah, but on the other hand, do you want to live in a world where your kid doesn't think this is funny? Because that's got to be a challenging, that's got to be a challenging thing. You raise these kids, like I read an article, I think one time about this guy had decided to show his kids the Dead Poet Society because he loved it for all the reasons that like Gen Xers and older millennials love it. That kind of guy existed in their world somewhere. They had some archetype that they, he was their captain. So that movie's inspiring to them. But if you're like a Gen Z kid watching that for the first time, all you see is this sad tale about this kid who kills himself because he can't realize himself, basically. And it's just like, why do you idolize this movie? This is fucking weird. And when you hear that perspective, you're like, I choose not to feel that way. So that's why I don't see it that way. Therefore, shut the fuck up. Yeah. But it makes sense, and that would be that's the thing about this movie that might be interesting, because like even B. Lee, who has probably would tell you he's glad he missed tonight because he's already heard us do this movie so many times. There's no reason to rewatch it. But even he, when he finally saw it for the first time, was like, "Okay, I get what you guys have been laughing at all this time. It's actually really funny." And maybe some people just need to come to it later when they already have a more developed sense of humor. And it just happened to be that my dad ordered it on cassette, like. Mail ordered a cassette of this movie. That's what era we were in when I first saw
it. Not Netflix.
No, not Netflix. And no company existed. He found probably an ad in the newspaper.
That probably out of a magazine or a television commercial.
Magazine or television commercial. You're absolutely right. Because that shit was not just in stores. There was a Blockbuster, but you got like Basic Instinct or Indecent Proposal or Heat. Mm-hmm. You weren't getting Monty Python. Being there might have been in the theater, in the Blockbuster, but probably not.
No. But also you got to get over like people who were first seeing this, and maybe it's different now, but it certainly wasn't back then. Everyone was like, Monty Python, you fucking nerd. It was like, I was cool with that. That's fine. I was aware.
Right. Kind of leaning into that, given the Monty Python quoting I'm doing in a public hallway.
I am American, but I have not spoken in anything other than a British accent for the last 2 years.
Yeah. So. And I feel like I've been pretty clear about that, but whatever.
Tennis shoes and khakis would have really let you know.
Yeah, tennis shoes and tucked in t-shirts with belts.
Tucked in t-shirts.
Yeah, like prim. You get that jib line, and got to get the jib line straight.
Yes, there just weren't magazines back then. I don't know why we were so out of touch with everything.
Well, we didn't have the entire planet giving us input on those types of things at our fingertips 24/7. So we just kind of had to wing it. And, you know, you only listen to some people's advice when you're young. And sometimes it's people that actually give good advice. And sometimes it's the idiot next to you. And in our case, it was that. So, you know, I was like, no one, I didn't think to tell you. Yeah, I didn't think to tell you it was weird because I was like, that looks right.
And I'm comfy. This is great.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, you might be bitching, calling me a nerd because my shoes are comfortable, but when we're running from zombies, I'm going to have you beat.
Also, back then, parents didn't spend a lot of money on their kids' clothing, at least not like most of them.
No, like we went new school shopping. That's it.
Yeah, but like, I don't remember, like, there wasn't a whole lot. I mean,
we weren't catching up with the trends. Like, whatever I was wearing in 6th grade was what I was wearing in junior, you know, like 11th grade, probably, in terms of my style choice.
I was going to wear those jeans so I eventually grew into them and then out of them.
Yeah. And then I was going to buy jeans that were equally worn, so it looked like they had as many holes as the ones I just outgrew, because I'm going to pay extra money for the fucking holes.
It's hard to not say that the children of the World War II like generation, I could see why they probably were a little offended by the jean selection.
Sure.
My dad never spoke for 40 years, and we only had one pair of pants.
Yeah, and we had to share it in the winter.
Yeah, like literally, we
had to go to school uphill both ways in opposite directions, and we had to keep the pants on, or we'd freeze to death.
Yeah, with a polar bear literally on our back because his leg was broken. Why were you carrying a polar bear, Dad? Doesn't matter. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the end of the podcast is finally complete.
Mm-hmm.